Rescuers have reached the cabins on the 3rd and 4th floors of the submerged Sewol ferry as we approach the 1-week mark since the tragedy. Underwater sonar imagery is giving the world a better view of the Sewol's position underwater. It appears to be lying on its port side. And the owners of the ship's operator Cheongjin Marine Company are being investigated for offshore tax evasion and hiding assets overseas. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm Luke Clary. It's been nearly a week since the sinking of the Sewol ferry. Rescuers have started searching cabins on the 3rd and 4th floors where many of the passengers are thought to be.
The joint military-civilian rescue teams have made more entry points to the cafeteria on the ferry's 3rd floor. 5 two-member teams were sent to these entrances simultaneously to search into the 3rd and 4th floors.
3층과 4층의 객실 부근에 사람들이 많을 것으로 추정을 하고 있고, 따라서 집중 수색 구역은 3층과 4층 위주로.
The divers focused on opening the doors to the cafeteria in order to gain access to the cabins on the 3rd floor, where many missing passengers are located. They would also break the windows to the 3rd and 4th floor cabins to enter the ship's interior. Roughly 600 divers were deployed for the search and rescue operation on Monday alone. In addition, 210 ships and 30 aircraft joined the mission. Families of the missing passengers have requested the rescue authorities to find survivors and bring out all the bodies by Thursday before the currents become strong again.
We have video images of the underwater rescue efforts. It's a dark and murky scene inside the submerged ferry, but we are able to make out drifting blankets and life vests. Let's take a look.
A rescue team enters the water to continue the search for those aboard the ill-fated ferry, the Sewol. In the dark, the divers rely on a rope in the water. Just some 3 minutes entering the water, the divers are at a depth of 21.5 meters and reach the 5th floor of the ship. They begin searching for the passengers aboard the vessel. There are stairs, ladders, and some structures. The divers tie a rope on a handrail to mark their way out. The door on the 4th floor is shut tight. A glimpse through a broken window shows that wrapped life vests and tubes are drifting around. They also find blankets floating. The visibility inside the ship is under 20 centimeters because of the murky waters.
요속이 빠르고 시야가 안 나오는 거 저희가 그간의 충분한 경험을 통해서 알고 있었는데 상상 이상으로 상당히 조건이 안 좋습니다.
Despite all the unfavorable conditions under the sea, rescuers are continuing their efforts to search for more survivors.
2 American-made, remotely operated underwater vehicles are deployed on the scene of the Sewol. The ROVs, as they're called, did show early success by entering some of the cabins, but floating debris has obstructed their progress.
2 remotely operated underwater vehicles were sent to help out the search and rescue operation. Sent from the U.S., the ROVs are able to remain underwater for a longer period of time and search the area with underwater cameras and sonar. The vehicles are remotely controlled through the lines connected to the barge above. On the first day of its operation, the ROV succeeded in entering the inside of the cabins where divers had difficulty gaining access. But the vehicles failed to produce any tangible results because the floating debris from the ship restricted the visibility.
ROV가 이 수색 효과가 있느냐 없느냐 이런 문제가 이제 이렇게 논란이 되고 있는데, ROV를 투입했기 때문에 효과가 높다라고 단정하기는 어렵고요.
The diving bell also arrived at the accident site. Its effectiveness has also been debated. The company that provided the diving bell claims that divers can work up to 20 hours in the bell-shaped chamber without being affected by the speed of current.
물속에서 잠수사들이 조류를 피할 수 있고 그다음에 체온을 보호할 수 있어요.
But the rescue authorities did not approve of this use because it could hinder ongoing search efforts and cause safety accidents. The diving bell was sent back from the scene.
With the murky waters obstructing visuals, underwater sonar imagery is giving us a better view of the Sewol's position. It appears the ship is lying on its port side at the ocean floor.
The ferry Sewol is nowhere to be seen above the water. With the authorities' permission, a KBS team was able to go near the site where the ill-fated vessel sank. 50 meters away from the Sewol, the team put a sonar into the water to take a closer look at the sunken ship. The Sewol begins to appear on the monitor. The bow is on the left, the long object is a crane. The image was turned upside down and compared with an old photo of the Sewol before it sank. They match up. The bridge and cabins are under the bow. The ship is lying on its port side at the bottom of the sea. It means that the ship completely sank.
선미 쪽은 지금 이제 기울어져 있는 상태고 좌연으로 한 70도 정도 그다음에 이렇게 돼 있는 상태 같습니다.
Objects assumed to be container boxes are spotted near the Sewol. On Monday, rescue authorities began using sonar to search for those missing aboard the doomed ferry.
A recent measurement has determined that the Sewol is already sunk more than 15 meters under the surface. Its location may be shifting due to strong currents in the area.
This white line shows where a sonar swept through, and the yellow line is the sea surface. The distance between the surface and the ferry's bow is more than 15 meters. The ferry sank about 10 meters in just one day since the bow disappeared underwater the day before yesterday. Then it went 5 meters further down. Given that the measurement was made during a tide ebb, the ferry could have sunk as deep as 20 meters.
간조의 그 정도가 차이라고 하면 이게 만약에 이제 사리대라고 하면 거의 한 3.5m에서 한 4m 정도 차이가 납니다.
The problem is water pressure. For every 10 meters underwater, water pressure increases by 1 atmospheric pressure. At the depth of 20 meters, the increase in water pressure would cause the air pockets in the ship to decrease by 2/3. The recent video recording showed that the Sewol's location may be shifting slowly. The depth of the accident location is 38.9 meters, deeper than the previously estimated 37 meters. Experts say that the ferry may be affected by the fast currents in the area. But the rescue authorities have assured that since guidelines have been installed, a slight submerging or depth change would not significantly affect the search and rescue operation.
Who owns the company that operated the Sewol ferry, Cheonghae Marine? A new report says his name is Yoo Byung-un. He's been described as a billionaire photographer. Here's more on Yoo and where he comes from.
Cheonghae Marine owns the ill-fated ferry the Sewol. The company is owned by Yoo Byung-un, the former chairman of Semo Group. His 2 sons hold hundreds of millions of dollars in assets. Yoo's whereabouts remain unknown since he was sentenced to a prison term on fraud charges in 1992. But Yoo has been recently confirmed to be the unidentified billionaire photographer Ah-hae. Without making a public appearance, he has been working mainly overseas as a photographer.
The window is actually,
En fait, la fenêtre est exactement de la même taille que celle que nous avons construite pour l'exposition. C'est celle de l'atelier de mon père en Corée du Sud.
One of Yoo's sons owns and runs businesses in New York, Britain, and France. He bought a whole French village 2 years ago.
Element or anything bad, we will do it environmental friendly, everything.
Ah-hae's photos were purchased by the companies owned by the Yoo family. The family said through an aide that they are sorry for the tragedy, but there is nothing they can do.
며칠 전에도 그랬죠. 그거에 대해서는 안타까우시죠. 그러나 책임 문제 같은 것은 주주가 나서서 하지는 않잖아요.
Prosecutors have launched an investigation into the Yoo family on charges of tax evasion and business irregularities.
The owners of Cheonghae Marine Company also own properties worth millions of dollars in the United States and Europe. The prosecution is investigating the Yoo family for offshore tax evasion and hiding assets overseas.
About 1 hour northeast from Manhattan, New York, is an enclave of multi-million-dollar mansion. There you see a palatial home measuring 40,000 square meters. This $3.45 million mansion is owned by former Semo Group chairman Yoo's second son, Hyuk-gi.
아, 혹시 이 집에 유혁기 선생님 안 계신가요? 아, 저 KBS 기자입니다. 아까 말씀하셨습니다.
A $1.75 million apartment purchased by Mr. Yu is on the 31st floor of this pricey apartment building situated by the Hudson River in New York City. He had made the purchase in 2003 when Korean nationals were strictly forbidden to make any overseas real estate investments.
I can tell you that there is a Mr. Yu that resides here. That's all the information I can give you.
Yu has another mansion in Palm Springs, a resort city near Los Angeles. He had acquired it for $920,000 in 2005, also when overseas property purchases were forbidden. Allegations have been raised that the Yu family have been trying to hide their assets. Sewol Group had bought a resort complex for roughly $6 million in 1990. When Sewol was placed under court receivership, it sold the resort to an American company. The sale price was not made public, but the American company that supposedly bought the resort turned out to be a proxy of Sewol Group's American corporation. The Yu family bought back the resort shares after the Sewol Group's court receivership had ended. KBS reporters confirmed that the Yu family owns American real estates amounting to tens of millions of dollars. The Korean prosecutors have begun investigating the Yus for hiding their assets overseas and committing offshore tax evasion.
So much time has passed since the sinking. Some families are holding out hope for a miracle. Others are coming to terms with their loss. And through it all, they expect a certain level of respect and decency in the conduct of their leaders. Some leaders have failed.
Surrounding Minister of Oceans and Fisheries Lee Ju-young are the families of the missing passengers who are protesting against some government officials' inappropriate behaviors at the site. They complain about a senior security and public administration ministry official's proposal to take a picture with others in front of a list of dead passengers.
긴급회의 끝나고 나오면서 기념사진을 찍재. 그것도 라이드에 두 번을 얘기해. 내가 사과를 해야지. 제가 대신 사과할게요.
The senior official, Song Young-chul, offered to resign. His resignation was immediately accepted. Since the accident occurred, a number of government officials have been stirring controversy. Family members of those missing aboard the Sewol were upset to see Education Minister Son Nam-soo sitting comfortably in a chair in the gymnasium, eating a bowl of instant noodles, while the worried loved ones desperately await updates of the search and rescue operations. 2 days after the tragedy, Sejong Mayor Yoo Han-sik, a member of the ruling Saenuri Party, was seen drinking at a party. On April 20th, main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy representative Im Ne-hyun ran in a marathon. In light of the recent tragedy, the citizens are viewing the behavior of these politicians as being inconsiderate, as if rubbing salt into the wounds of the victims' families.
Saenuri Party Representative Chung Mong-jun's son has come under fire for a controversial post online that calls the Korean public uncivilized. Chung immediately apologized for the remark.
On April 18th, the following day after President Park Geun-hye visited the site of the ferry disaster, the youngest son of Saenuri Party Representative Chung Mong-jun posted a message on a social networking site. The 18-year-old wrote that even though the president visited the families of the missing passengers and promised to do her best with rescue operations, the Korean public still shouted out loud in her face and even poured water on the prime minister. He went on to write that people in other countries, when faced with similar circumstances, act in a more rational way. Jung's son added that the whole nation is uncivilized because its individuals act in uncivilized ways. As controversy started brewing over Jung's message, his father apologized to the families of dead and missing ferry passengers as well as to the public.
아버지로서 죄송하기 그지 없습니다. 모든 것이 아이를 제대로 가르치지 못한 저의 불찰입니다.
Jung's son deleted his message, but he's still facing sharp criticism from the public.
The police have identified a man who posted malicious comments about the victims of the ferry disaster. Police say that they will hold responsible those who spread groundless rumors about the tragedy.
This 28-year-old man, identified only by his family name Jung, posted malicious messages about the missing ferry passengers and their families on this internet site. The police have found 4 of his malicious messages. During his interrogation, Chung said he wrote the messages to draw attention. The police are considering requesting an arrest warrant for Chung because he had repeatedly posted malicious comments.
사회적으로 파장이 크잖아요. 재질이 불량해서 강력하게 다 처벌하겠다는 의지가 있습니다.
The police will also identify and investigate 5 others who have posted insulting messages about the missing ferry passengers on social networking sites. The authorities' efforts to punish those who spread groundless rumors have failed to produce any results so far. Messages saying that the government is blocking the use of social networking sites and that missing passengers would be easily found if the individual divers were paid to do their jobs continue to spread on the internet. The police have denied all such rumors and will apprehend internet users who had posted 6 particularly malicious messages. The police are also trying to figure out who spread the rumor that the ferry passengers' SOS requests that had been posted on their social networking sites were ignored. The police shot down this rumor as being not true.
President Park Geun-hye reprimanded her administration and government officials for poor crisis management efforts and indifference. She says she'll hold people responsible regardless of position.
In a meeting with her senior advisors, President Park Geun-hye unleashed her criticism of her administration. First off, she expressed her deep condolences to the families of dead and missing ferry passengers. She said that the actions of the ferry captain and some of the crew members were akin to the murder. The president pledged to thoroughly investigate those responsible and punish them strictly.
단계별로 책임 있는 모든 사람들에 대해 지휘 고하를 막론하고 민 형사상의 책임을 물어야 할 것입니다.
The president ordered her administration to investigate the entire process of Sewol's operation, starting from its import from Japan. Park also criticized government officials for their poor crisis management abilities. She says she ordered the inspection of more than 3,000 crisis management guidelines early this month, but it was all in vain. Park instructed her administration to devise more systematic measures.
현장과 부처 간 협업과 통일된 대응이 제대로 이루어질 수 있도록 보다 강력한 재난 대응 컨트롤 타워가 필요하다고 봅니다.
The president reprimanded the government agencies for causing confusion when handling the ferry disaster and chastised public servants for their indifference and selfishness.
헌신적으로 근무하는 공무원들까지 불신하게 만드는 자리 보존을 위해 눈치만 보는 공무원들은 이 정부에서는 반드시 퇴출시킬 것입니다.
The president ordered government officials to trace the origin of groundless rumors. 청와대 and government agencies have begun discussions of ways to execute the president's orders.
The Ministry of Education has decided to place a ban on all school trips for the first semester of the year, citing safety issues. The ministry promised it would foot the bill for cancellation fees.
The Ministry of Education says it will ban all school trips for now. The decision was reached after the ministry discussed it with 17 municipal and provincial educational authorities.
우선 1학기 계획된 수학여행 등을 전면 금지하는 방안 등을 포함해서
The Education Ministry says schools that violate the ban will be punished, but some schools have no choice but to proceed with their planned school trips because otherwise they would have to pay enormous penalty fees.
천재지변도 아니고 취소를 하게 되면은 그 위약금이 발생한다. 어림잡아 32, 3만 원이고.
The Education Ministry says it will not punish the schools with trips scheduled in the next few days. The educational authorities also promised to pay the schools penalty fees if they are slapped with fines for canceling their school trips. The Education Ministry will also devise plane and ship transportation safety guidelines for school trips and distribute them to the schools. So far, such guidelines didn't exist. The ministry will also mandate school and travel agencies to stipulate in their contracts that people in charge of the students' transportation must provide the students and teachers with safety training.
And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Have a nice day.